What if I told you the NFC North just flipped in a way nobody saw coming? What if I told you the Bears, yes, the Chicago Bears, have officially thrown the entire playoff picture into chaos? Today's updates aren't just interesting, they're shocking, they're serious, and they will change how you look at the rest of this NFL season. Let's get into it. The NFC North has officially entered a new chapter. And if you're a Bears fan, you're feeling something you haven't felt in a long time: control. Through Week 11, the Chicago Bears stand at 7-3, sitting at the top of the division. The Packers trail at 6-3-1. The Lions slip to 6-4. And the Vikings fall to 4-6, nearly out of the race. Today wasn't just another game. It was the swing game of the season, one that completely reshaped the division. Beating Minnesota does two massive things. First, it gives Chicago a real shot at maintaining first place, especially with Detroit dropping a tough one to Philadelphia in a gritty 16-9 battle. Second, it pushes the Vikings to the edge of the playoff cliff. There's still a world where Minnesota tries to claw back into the wildcard picture, but let's be honest, they've got a long uphill climb ahead. But the most impressive part? This Bears team has found a new identity under Ben Johnson. The culture, the confidence, the belief, it's real, and it shows up every week. Today was another example. Mistakes happened. Momentum swung. There were moments when it felt like the game was slipping away. But this team didn't panic, they found a way. They've now gone 5-1 in one-score games this season. That's the sign of a team that knows how to close. Before we jump into more breaking news, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the latest NFL updates. Alright, let's keep moving. The fact that the Bears are in first place through Week 11 isn't just surprising, it's remarkable. If anyone told you at the start of the season that Chicago would be leading the division at this point, every Bears fan would have said the same thing: sign me up. There's still a long road ahead, 2 matchups with Green Bay, 1 more with Detroit, and a whole lot of football left to play. But right now, the Bears aren't chasing anyone. They're the ones being chased, and trust me, this story is only getting started. Stay with me. 7 wins in 8 games. Let that sink in for a moment. A team that opened the season 0-2 has completely rewritten its identity, and the turnaround isn't luck, it's discipline, resilience, and coaching brilliance. Ben Johnson deserves a ton of credit. Dennis Allen deserves a ton of credit. And every player who's stepped on that field has earned their share too. Today wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, and there were moments you had to hold your breath, but it was gutsy. It was tough. And it was the kind of win that defines a season. And when you look around the conference, the story becomes even more fascinating. Detroit's night in Philadelphia? Brutal. Cold. Windy. Miserable. And Jared Goff never found a rhythm. 4th down after 4th down, nothing. 0 touchdowns. Dan Campbell took over the play calling again, but last week's success clearly didn't carry over against a defense that came ready for a chess match. Vic Fangio called it perfectly. And here's the thing, even the Eagles don't look invincible anymore. They're good, very good, but unbeatable? That aura is fading. So where does that leave Chicago? Are the Bears a dominant, powerhouse team? Maybe not. But in a conference where no one looks untouchable, that doesn't matter. Right now, the NFC feels wide open. On any given Sunday, momentum swings fast, and the team that executes the day is the one that rises. From what we've seen, the Rams and Seahawks look strong. Philly is right there too. But after that? It's a coin flip, and that's exactly why Chicago's position is so interesting. Because as of today, the Bears sit as the 3 seed in the NFC. Just 1 game behind the Eagles and Rams at 8-2. Tampa Bay drops again at 6-4, giving Chicago room to climb. And here's the wildest part of the entire picture: the Detroit Lions, yes, the same Lions who opened the year as NFC contenders, would not make the postseason if it started today. Packers hold the 6th seed at 6-3-1. The 49ers hang on to the 7th at 7-4. Detroit sits on the outside looking in at 6-4. The margins right now are razor thin. 1 win can launch you up the ladder. 1 loss can send you tumbling down it. That's the reality of this NFC race. But the Bears? 7 wins in their last 8 games, and a real chance to keep climbing. And now, they get the Steelers at home next week, another pivotal moment in a season full of them. Stay with me, the big question lingering tonight: will Aaron Rodgers even be on the field next week? There's a lot unfolding behind the scenes, and the updates we've gotten in the last few hours paint a complicated picture. Rodgers left today's game with a left wrist injury and never returned. Mason Rudolph stepped in and finished the afternoon, and from that moment forward, eyes across the league have been waiting for clarity. A few reports dropped almost immediately after Sunday Night Football kicked off. According to early information, Rodgers is dealing with what's being described as a minor fracture in that wrist. Nothing catastrophic, but definitely serious enough to raise questions. Other insiders pushed back a little, insisting the injury isn't expected to keep him out long term. More tests are coming, more evaluation is needed, and the door hasn't been closed on him playing in Chicago, at least not officially. But even with all that said, the early indication is simple: Mason Rudolph is the more likely starter against the Bears. And this is where things get interesting. I've been thinking about this from a few different angles. Not emotional, not dramatic, just honest reactions. On one hand, there's something almost poetic about Rodgers having one last game at Soldier Field. No matter what you think of him, and believe me, plenty of people have strong opinions, the rivalry, the history, the drama, it's real. Would it feel strange if that final chapter never actually gets written? Yeah, a little. But let's be clear, nobody's shedding tears here. No one's lighting candles or holding vigils. Rodgers is Rodgers, that's its own category entirely. The sentiment isn't sympathy, it's just the weight of a rivalry that's lasted over a decade suddenly losing a moment that could have been meaningful. And now, depending on what those tests show, it might be Rudolph who walks into Soldier Field next week instead. Stay with me. Let's be honest, there's a part of every Bears fan that wants to face Aaron Rodgers and beat him outright. When the schedule dropped, that matchup at Soldier Field wasn't just another game, it felt like a chance at closure. A chance to finally flip a chapter that's been one-sided for far too long. Sure, if the Bears end up facing Mason Rudolph instead and come out with a win, nobody's complaining. A win is a win. You take it and you move forward. But the idea of finally knocking off Rodgers in Chicago, in what might be his last appearance there, that would have hit differently. This entire season has had a revenge tour energy to it. They got payback on Washington. They answered back against Minnesota for that rough Week 1 loss. They even erased a few old ghosts with wins that had been hanging over the team from years past. And beating Rodgers at Soldier Field? That would have been another box checked, a big one. Could he still try to play through the injury? Maybe. It's his non-throwing hand, which leaves a tiny window of possibility open. But if he needs a procedure or ends up in a hard cast, that closes the door immediately. You can't take snaps under center like that. At best, he could work strictly from the shotgun with a soft wrap, but that's assuming the pain is manageable and grip strength isn't compromised. The Steelers have a decision to make. They're suddenly only one game ahead of Baltimore in the division. The Ravens are heating up, winners of 4 straight. Pittsburgh sits at 6-4, Baltimore at 5-5. If the margin is shrinking, you'd think the Steelers would want Rodgers out there, but if he can't grip the ball or protect himself, the choice might be made for them. One thing feels certain: if there's even a sliver of a chance to play a 5% window, a 2% window, Rodgers will push to take it. The matchup, the rivalry, the stadium, it all means something to him too. But as of right now, the signs point in the other direction. It's becoming more and more likely that he won't suit up on Sunday. We'll keep watching it unfold as the week moves along. Now, before wrapping up tonight's breakdown, a few final thoughts on the Bears' 19-17 win over the Vikings. In the moment, it felt frustrating, and let's be honest, we've all been there. That's a game they should have slammed the door on earlier. It had too many moments where Minnesota was given life they didn't deserve. But after a few hours, once the emotions settle and you see the rest of the league in action, perspective kicks in. The Rams barely survived Seattle at home, winning 21-19 despite Sam Darnold throwing 4 interceptions and missing a 60-yard kick that could have flipped the entire game. That's how tight and unforgiving the NFL is right now. One bounce, one mistake, one moment, that's all it takes. Stay with me. There's something we all forget in the heat of the moment: winning in the NFL is brutally hard. It doesn't matter how talented your roster is, how clever your coach is, or how weak the opponent looks on paper, victories don't come wrapped in gift paper. They're earned, clawed, fought for. And if any fan base should understand that, it's Chicago. Sure, there were chances to close the door earlier. Sure, some mistakes made it tougher than it needed to be. But that's a divisional game on the road, against a defense that blitzed nearly every snap like it was a personal mission. Brian Flores emptied the playbook trying to rattle Caleb Williams, and Chicago still found the answer. Ben Johnson nailed it in the locker room afterward. It felt just like week 1, except this time we made the winning play. And that's the point. This season isn't about perfection. It's about learning how to win, how to respond, how to finish, how to bend without breaking. 5 wins in 1-score games. 7 victories in their last 8. That's not luck. That's growth. And the wild part? They haven't even peaked yet. There are stretches in every game where you can see it. If they clean up the details, if they hit just a couple more plays, they can start burying